players. I think my favorite response there had to be Rapids, right? Levin kind of stirring the pot a little bit, or at least trying to, hey man, hey, Pete's trying to get into your head, you know, what do you have to do? He's like, dude, I just don't even listen. Like, was he talking to me? I don't know.
Yeah, same with Reed Cooper as well, asking about the off-spawn, how are things going to go, is it personal? They're putting all that aside. They're thinking, right, okay, this is the current situation. We're contested. If things don't go well, we'll go to plan B, we'll go to plan C. They're not letting all that outside noise affect them, which is very easy to do on a big stage like this.
Yeah, I mean, I even think back to like the Vidil part, right, where we got to talk with him and him getting emotional, hearing the fans kind of go crazy. You know, now more than ever with 8 games, right? So we're kind of used to the more traditional 6. We now have 8 games. We have to try and do this all in one go. And like you said, we've got this crowd. We now have a ton of expectations. We have a bunch of pressure. We have a stacked lobby.
Oczywiście Polacy na top 1. O, Polaków najbardziej kibicuję. A tak to no to Mr. Savage. Nie wiem, czy Mr. Savage grał. Ale Peter Bytowi i Pola też kibicujemy go. No i Polaków najbardziej. Pierwsza gierka za 2 minuty chyba.
Yeah, and I suppose coming into this, right, everything is new for these players. A lot of players will have the first time experience. It's a different environment to what you're used to. You're on a different desk, you're in front of a massive crowd, you're on a stage, you've got lights, you've got cameras. All that stuff is brand new. You're not used to that. But as soon as they sit in that seat and their eyes lock in that monitor, it's back to normal. It's just Fortnite. They've got to try and lock into that and try and drown out everything else. I've never been on a stage like that. Vivid, you've had the pleasure of doing it. It must be really, really difficult to do that, but they have to do it. Just go back to what you know, stick to the plans, and don't let anything else affect you.
Yeah, I had a moment not too long ago to hop on a Cypher PK stream, and that's something we talk about, right, is when you come back to a LAN environment, it can be difficult, right? It really can. I think from an outside looking in, you know, you can think, well, why aren't these players performing like I watch them at home? Well, dude, it really is that comfort zone, right? Yeah. There is so many of these tiny little factors, and it could just be one thing, right? That mouse being just a little too slow, that mouse pad not being quite long enough. Guys, I would love to ask you, though, obviously, as we start getting ready to board this battle bus, let's talk about predictions. Viv, who do you
Pierwsza gierka się zaczyna.
What are your top 5?
Teraz już.
I can't believe you've done this to me, Zeke. First of all, only limiting me to 5 teams.
I'm sorry!
Brother, I could have picked like 10 different duos that I think could possibly come first this weekend. It is seriously impossible, but I had to make a choice. Zeke forced me. So my top 5 for this weekend, who I think is going to place where, first and foremost, it hurt. It hurt not only put an EU team up there in first place, Sky and Squad. I think they look way too good in major number 1. I think the game plan that they have coming into the weekend, they talked about the adjustments that we have to make. We have some backup plans ready. Vico and Malabuka, again, an EU team there in second place. Here's the thing that scares me about Vico and Malabuka, is that we had this giant conversation around Vico being nervous, right? He woke up, he was like, dude, I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
He still played incredibly well day of. If we have Vico, who is an experienced person kind of coming into an environment like this, who is able to fully reset and still play well, I think they have to be a shoo-in for top 5. And then obviously I'm kind of rounding out my predictions with some NA teams, Cold and Rapid. Now they're uncontested. Way too good of a team to kind of place outside of the top 5 for me personally.
Ja bym streamował z YouTube'a i na Kepciu streamował, ale ja nie mogę jakoś na YouTube streamować. Ja nie mogę streamować i oglądać YouTube'a. Nie wiem czemu.
You never know what it's going to look like, right? And you're absolutely right. There was so many. It was really difficult, actually, to pick these top 5s that we came up with. And speaking of Vico right there, being nervous coming into it, we saw it on the cameras just a minute ago.
Bo już jest 6 minut spóźnienia. Miała się zacząć pierwsza gierka 6 minut temu, a nadal się nie zaczęła.
I did do this before I heard that they might be surprise contested by Epic Well and Pump, but I still think they can still do it. They proved that they can perform off spawn. Vico, Malabuka, too good of a team to not top 3, especially since their situation hasn't really changed too much in terms of contestation. And Sky and Scroll, you have to put them in there. They're going to be in that top 3 for me. And Acorn Bolts as well, of course. Dharm and Dimash, very, very similar lists, I suppose you could say, in that regard, because you can't ever count out Acorn. And Acorn in that upper bracket, then you have 2 bad games. They had pretty unfortunate zones as well. A lot of those zones were pulling down to that south. So it just seemed like they got better throughout the day at actually dealing with those south zones. So as an EU fan, if I put my EU bias hat on, I'm kind of scared of Acorn and Bolts. They could be lifting that trophy at the end because they are just that good, and Acorn is just that good at leading.
Guys, I'm so hyped. I just heard the call. The games are ready to go.
Pierwsza gierka.
This is the first
Pierwsza gierka.
finals. Jacob PR, the best taco, and Levin 2K. Over to you.
This is it, the moment you guys have been waiting all weekend for. Championship Sunday. One team will be crowned the best in the world for this moment. 15 global championship spots and over $1 million in prize money.
Yeah, I mean, we're making eye contact right now, but Levin, all of these teams, they're aiming to go straight to the top with you, big fella. And I mean, it's exciting to think about the fact that they've had
one wkurzałem te
prepare,
boty.
but for some of these duos,
Oh,
the ones
no.
coming out of that lower bracket, they are going to have a little bit less time to adjust, but they still got to make it happen.
Absolutely, but I think when you look at the way the games played out yesterday, so much to learn. I think there's so many duos who, I think coming into the competition, we might not have even really been expecting much out of them, but they have showed up yesterday. It's about doing it today, though.
Yeah, and honestly, coming to this 3-day format, day one, nobody gets eliminated. It kind of leaves you thinking, where's the entertainment going to be? It was entertaining as can be. Any other event we've seen so far. Day 2, where 25 teams were sent home. Heartbreaking moment, but again, it was cinema. And now we're here, 8 games instead of 6. And what does that do? What do you think that does to some of these players?
I mean, it's a long haul. I think the big difference is we've seen so many tournaments over the years where day one, you get the opportunity to reset, you get to watch some games back, jump into the next day, it's a completely different meta tournament feeling. You only get the halftime break today, Jacob Tackle. I mean, it is not much time to play with.
Yeah, and that's part of the difficulties behind it, right? Because typically you'd anticipate having that little bit of extra time for review, maybe a fill-in slot, you know, even some of the other pros willing to help assist. But now you have to question, was it worth me actually helping out some of the other teams? Because what if they decide, hey, my off spawn isn't going well, but I know what makes yours better, so why not challenge it?
Yeah, and that kind of makes me wonder, you know, we've seen superstar teams take over games and begin to run away with it. And now with 2 extra games, there's kind of that comeback potential. It's almost that mental stamina a lot of these teams and individual players are going to be forced to really deal with at the end of the day. But I got to maybe ask you guys, we saw some predictions on the desk.
I knew it was coming.
Got any predictions for us here?
I mean, I feel like there's so many amazing teams who their off-spawn situation looks favorable. They look like they could make great runs. I'm going to pick one from each region I'm really looking forward to. The first one from EU, I think Vico and Malabuka are looking good. Sneakily looking good in a way that I think a lot of people now are starting to look and say, that day one performance, Vico said he was nervous, they played with so much ease, and it was so impressive. And then on the NA side of things, Taco, I'm liking Cold and Rapid,
6-7, Big
There's something about the aura about them that just inspires you.
It's something about the way they've been playing through 4 fields also, and when you think about a lot of the off-spawn contention that's taking place around them, they're one of the few teams on the outskirts of the map, but they still have an easier path inwards in comparison to those other duos surrounding them. Their surge opportunities are looking much more favorable. I'm right there with you. Cold and Rapid, 100% highlight for me, and now I'm just going to sound like a copycat because Vico and Malabuka would have been the sly underdog team that I'm kind of looking at too for EU, because so many people, I think, just have that dependency on the Peterbot.
Pierwsza gierka już się zaczyna. Dobra. Pierwsza gierka z Hejściu dzisiaj. A drop matchki.
Yeah, honestly, coming into this one, you guys probably saw in Fortnite competitive, I was instantly answered Cold and Rapid right out of the gates, and now watching all the action through the last 2 days, it almost has me scratching my head because you mentioned Vico, Malabuka, Shark, and Teeny. They made it here through a contested wonky land, and now they're being able to play like themselves, a little bit more freedom. And then you even have Acorn and Bolts. I've never seen Acorn look so calm, cool, collected in my entire life. Bolts looking confident as well. This one's gonna be hard to predict.
Yeah, I mean, Acorn and Bolts, I think the way that you put it, Levin, in that interview was really said best. Everybody seems to just cap these guys. It's always, yeah, they're going to be top 3, but it's going to be the 3rd place. Yeah, they're going to be top 5, but it's going to be the 4th or 5th place. It's never number 1. And all I can think about is reflecting back to even Chapter 5. So many people have always counted Acorn out, but historically speaking, he delivers in the moments that he says that he's going to.
And what a day and time it would be to really show the world that they are winners. No better stage to do it on than this one here. I think the interesting conversation when it comes to contested versus uncontested teams, though, is as much as we know historically you want to be uncontested, it gives you the best chance of success. We've seen some of the players on the stage have unbelievable performances while being contested. Sharkantini, to talk about them, ooh, are they going to get surprise contested? What's going to happen there? I think even if they are, we've seen what they can do to some of the best players in the world while being contested at Wonkyland.
And part of that, I think, is also just building off of the fact that it's the time to elimination. Duos that are able to find those quick frags off spawn, they're going to be the ones that ultimately establish their surge off rip, and then they can just pick their movements after the fact. And that's what we really saw out of Sharkantini in day 1. Sure, game number 1 didn't exactly go their favor, but they tried to play it through a different method. The moment that they actually got up close and personal, we saw what happened after.
Yeah, and it kind of leads me to kind of like the next question about, we are talking so heavy about that first place. That's what we came for, $1 million prize pool, of course, but the 15 global championship spots. So if you find yourself in game 7, game 8, probably out of distance for that first place, you still have something to fight for.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting thing about us having 8 games here for the first time is we always, in a 6-game format, have this understanding of when do we start to panic? When do we have to really turn things around? When are the games really and truly running out for us here? At this point, you're going to just have to get a feel for it, right? You might be at game 4, things aren't going well. You still have 4 more games. That's a lot of games to start to come back and get some points on the board. And so it's a learning experience for us. It's a learning experience for these players. But the best of the best will rise to the top as always.
And we know the margin of error when it came even just the top 25 throughout the past 2 days of competition was you're realistically looking at maybe 1-2 lobbies. That's all that's necessary
Ci w bananach
to fill that
siedzą.
void and close the gap.
Yeah.
But here in an 8-game format, top 15, the margin of error is that much slimmer. And we've already seen just how quickly paranoia can kind of ensue when you're suddenly realizing, hey, game 1, not for me. Games 2 and 3, all of a sudden, oh no, I'm at game 4 and I'm still not off spawn.
Yeah, and this is going to be
Ej, kiedy
one of
to
those
się
things like
zacznie?
game 1, you guys are talking about game 2. You know, Chino and Pablo, for example, a triple contested Sandy Strip. They didn't necessarily play well in day 1. They fell to the lower bracket, right? Triple contested again at Sandy Strip. But they had
15
games in the beginning of the
minut
tournament. It didn't
opóźnienia
necessarily
już.
go there well, but they were able to pick up the pace. I think as soon as these duos, these players are able to kind of play like themselves, comfortable, almost as if they're at home, that's when they're really going to find the success. And that's why I look at some of our veteran teams, the players that not only have been around Fortnite competitive for so long, but playing in person, playing at these lands, the Invitational, the Global Championship, even the Pro-Am kind of gets you that experience that you need to play on the big stage.
Absolutely. And I mean, we always talk about what's happening on the map, in the game. For a lot of these players, this crowd, their energy is going to be vital to success. They're going to need every single person in this building to be as loud as possible. So just to remind our players, people, Dusseldorf, make some noise!
I know you guys wanted more than. How are you going to let Levin be louder than all of you?
Dusseldorf, make some noise! Let's go alive.
They are fired up and ready to go. And honestly, I see why. You know, they got so many hometown heroes, players coming literally straight from Germany, playing on that big stage. And I've seen it throughout my many years watching Fortnite. When we go to these regions in person, their fandom is out of this world. I know everybody remembers the Global Championship, and this event here is going to be one to remember as well.
Absolutely. I mean, for so many of these players, game after game, it is just an otherworldly experience, being able to compete against the best. You look to your left, you look to your right, you look across the stage, and you see so many top looking to do the exact same thing as you. I spoke to some of the players who are sitting at the top of the stage right next to a trophy. Some of them are saying, look, Levin, I mean, if we do well, it's not a long walk to go and pick it up. You don't want to watch another duo walk past you to lift that trophy up. You want to be the ones to look everybody in their eyes as you rise that trophy and put that crown in your head.
The first one is always so special, and granted, we have numerous Major One champions in the building participating in this competition here tonight, but everybody wants that moment of pride, the ultimate celebration, because you're not only confirming the trophy, but you're also establishing your seat for the Global Championship.
Yep, and I know we're still getting ready to go. You see the players on the stage, the stands. I even see a Mark on the co-string, just letting everybody feel that energy, and that's why I like these in-person events.
Kiedy to się spać? Nie.
You can go ahead and be in those chats, but when you're in here in person,
20 minut temu powinna się pierwsza gierka zacząć. O, dobra. No. Wreszcie, kurwa.
And this is that moment you guys have all been waiting for. This is Championship Sunday. 8 games of full Fortnite competitive action where only one team will be able to plant their flag at the top of that summit and call themselves one of the best teams in the world. Let's get into the game.
Grand Finals Game 1. Dobra, zaczynamy.
These players have now had all weekend, and they're finally ready to show us exactly how they plan to get the party started. So many off spawns being considered around the map, but which ones are actually going to build and which ones are going to depart in an instant, we'll get to find out.
We're already seeing Riptides. We knew it was going to be uncontested. Focus and Thomas. That is going to remain true. But one we know, triple contested. We've seen it back-to-back days. Sandy Strip. You see that right there. They marched somewhere else on that drop map.
Okay.
Surprises coming out with the Yamzo and Josh.
Dobra, off-spawn to każdy przeżyje. A ten, kto ma kontest, to no Kona musi się bić, ale no Rezon ma no już Rezon chyba ma kontest jego, no jakieś inne duo ma kontest. Dobra, ja nie wiem co ja gadam ogólnie, ale no Rezon ma kontest.
Another team in a heavily contested area of the map. This south section over by New Sanctuary has been very busy all weekend.
Yep, we're already seeing a couple eliminations right off of the board, and it looks like Flixie was able to get that force bomb. Resigns is the first one that goes down. Flixie already starting off hot here, and he's looking to go back-to-back and wipe him off spawn completely.
Dobra. Nie znam ich, co zabili, ale no git. Naciskami. Jego też nie znam, nie wiem.
And the issue right now, Ritual has nowhere to go. Reek, Cooper, obviously trying to hunt him down, but you also have to deal with the likes of Rainy and Nalu very close by. And so the opportunities to actually escape this north side position, they're just not there.
And this was already a POI where we didn't really need more Spanish thrown into the works. It was already a messy situation at times. They seem to come to a pool, but things are heating up. Not just at Latte, here at Battlewood as well. It's up to the young Curve to try and keep his duo alive in this first game.
He has to try to clutch up big with no shield already. He lands one shot, but it's not enough. In game 1, the NA Central champions have just gone down.
This is not what they planned for. It's not what they prepared for. We spoke to Benno and he said we just need to, prepare ourselves mentally as best as possible. But no amount of mental preparation can prepare you for a shot like that, Taco.
King just came ready here today. Clearly riding off a little bit of momentum even from those matches yesterday. You get that Victor Royale, and what could feel better for the confidence? But Nalu, that's also going to be a big strike here. Ritual's out of this.
first and second place in the NA Central Finals this season are down and out in game 1.
And here comes the third party coming in, Reet and Cooper. This is the team we thought would be a part of all these exchanges of surprise third party from Nalu and Rainy, but they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for Reet and Cooper. And I think they know that he's a solo, at least for now, so they're trying to put the pressure down. They're trying to at least get closer and closer to this elimination. It's not just about the points, it's about the Storm Surge as well.
Reed's definitely looking to chase this one down, but for Cooper, that's who I really got in the back of my mind. 2023, everyone wants to kind of rule that Grand Championship out from him, but the fact of the matter is, Cooper's here to prove there's a reason why he won back then, and he's still got what it takes.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to hunt. We're seeing
Jeden jest na górze.
Nalu, even when you think you're worrying about the players in the POI who you're trying to fight, there's always potential for someone sitting up on them cliff tops to take shots inside. Thomas and Focus, they're in a scrap here south of Riptides.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. Even if you start off uncontested, doesn't mean it's going to remain that way. Akira and Karama are trying to come over and crash the party, but Focus and Thomas, they got some early game shots. That's going to help their early game surge, give them a little bit of freedom, but you can see that they instantly disengage off. They don't want to fight this unless they absolutely have to. For Thomas, for Focus, it's about the little victories that they're looking to stretch into a mile.
For Thomas and Focus, too, they just know how this one tends to play out. Triple contested is just not worth it. Somebody else is always going to come into the mix, so Sky scrambling around. Battlewood Boulevard has just not gone favorably at all for any of our major champions for EU and NA.
And it looks like it was Yomzo and Josh that played spoiler. Scroll and Sky, they have played their game so consistently. There's so much footage you can go and watch to anti-scrap them, and it looks like that's exactly what Yomzo and Josh have done.
It seems like they're pulling out an old playbook strategy, kind of a teeny strat, dropping everywhere along the map, but Gino and Pablo seems to have left Sandy, but for right reason. It looks like they've taken down both Kanata and Victor V, being one of the only teams standing at Sandy Strip. You can see they already have that elimination onto Victor V, putting Kanata in such a pickle. They slide in, they take him out and send him right back to the lobby.
One of those moments where you really want to make sure you don't overheat if you are in Victor V and Kanata's position, but we'll see just how that changes up in game 2. Poyo and Peterbot rather take their time going fishing over at Squibbly Shores. It's been a bit more calm. We've seen so much action kind of hopping around the map, but Pete and Poyo, all they're really after is trying to see what else they can build.
And it's going to be a very
Peterbot, Poyo mają free. Ogólnie nie wiem jak teraz Peterbot gra, ale słyszałem, że chyba już najlepszy nie jest. Najlepszy na świecie, no ale Prime Peterbota i Poyo, no to był w tamtym roku, 2024 na pewno, w tamtym roku w sumie też.
And that's going to make him make a decision here. Do we want to continue to fight for the spot inside, or do you want to try to travel through one of those tunnels?
Camping out the teleporter or the porta potty can lead to some positive eliminations for any other players that might be struggling, looking for an escape from contention elsewhere. But it's still a difficult situation because when you're in the tunnels, other teams are going to know it, and they're going to wait for the moments that you start to leave.
No, Surgebank. Wiko, no. Już ich sprayują, a Wiko... No nie, w sumie nie tylko oni mają... Malibuka. Malibuka i jego teammate mają chyba najlepszą pozycję. No mają najlepszą, no. Na zamku nazywam. Mają najlepszą. Ci w zonie się biją.
Akira and Karama, they didn't get what they were after. Trying to see they get some elims onto Focus and Thomas over by time, so they ventured back towards Battlewood Boulevard. And to remember, Sky Scroll, that was a duo that helped out Akira and Karama making it here in the first place. So it comes as no surprise that maybe some of those strategies might work against them here today.
Absolutely. That is always the risk when you're as successful as Sky and Scroll have been. Teamy looking for success of his own here.
Just kind of looking at the mini-map, wondering Where is Shark even at? It's almost like that Peter Box-esque situation where he's lurking by himself. Maybe he's just trying to get damage here. Not a full elimination, but he's going to get an opportunity here as he turns the corner. One shot onto Demus, and that's what you call a little success. You get the damage and you just keep it moving. Finally, we see where Shark was at, on top of the wonky land wheel. No surprise.
You absolutely take that exchange. But Demus and Dom, it's a pesky little fly on the wall situation. Shark will be more than chuffed with that 45 tag.
But I think it was a great way that Shark and Teeny split the responsibility of approach.
45 duosów jeszcze żyje. Trzeci zone. A, patrzyłem tę gierkę jeszcze. Za 5 dni nowy sezon. Dzisiaj to jest drugi dzień finałów. Dzisiaj się rozstrzygnie, kto wygra w tym sezonie FNCS-u. Ja myślę, że może wygrać. O, Peter Boty, po ile oni mają punktów?
I know we haven't seen the full map yet, but I don't like where that one's going. Up towards Wonky Land, up towards the mountain on the north. And this is where, if you're a team, Taco, I would imagine you're going to have to start preparing for the end game and what's to come.
You think so, but for Yapko and Panzer, they're trying to see if they can shut out Nalu and Rainy from even making that approach. They want to see if they can try and utilize some of this early Storm tank, but if they can get the damage done, Rainy will be dropped the moment that he tries to go for the escape, so that's going to be the first elimination confirmed here. And for poor Nalu, despite having 2 elims himself, things just got too scrappy, and now he's just trying to see if he can outlast where Yapko and Panzer are.
And this is clearly a big part of Yapko and Panzer's strategy for today. You saw Panzer was playing aggressive towards Nalu earlier when he was in Latte Landing. This is more of the same from this duo, and I would not be surprised if this becomes a repetitive story between these two duos today.
I do like this decision from Yapko and Panzer to disengage. Zone is moving all the way towards the west. You can just stay in front of a lot of the teams. Do exactly that, what he's doing. Backtracking, getting surge, and just keeping it going in a progressive manner over towards the zone. But you got to be careful because it's not only Nalu that you have to worry about, it's Cold and Rapid as well towards Painted Palms.
Problem there for Yapko and Panzer. I don't think they realized that Cold and Rapid were actually sneaking about, coming all the way down from 4 fields. Paradise Palms might be eaten up here shortly, but for Thomas, that early delay from Akira and Kurama over by Riptides has clearly impacted the way that they wanted to actually move around the map, and they are being held yet again by the same gentle mates. Akira and Kurama realize focus is out. This is a solo. If we can get the additional points, all the better.
222 below the damage threshold. Exactly what I was thinking. You're going to need some damage to close that gap.
Nice. Wow.
It all comes to an end the second it happens. A playmaker from Thomas, but Kurama shuts it down.
A big wake-up moment for Akira there. Very fortunate. Kurama did not lose his cool.
You just have to think that those initial shots from Thomas, they weren't warning shots. He was letting you know he meant business. The way that things have started to develop over towards Sandy Strip, a little bit of a slower move. Minouri and Darkos are not trying to rattle the hornet's nest here. Chino and Pablo.
That's how we're starting today's highlight reel. It's going to be a fun 8 games, people. Sky and Stroll looking to begin that journey to recovery. Both players back in the game, both players looking to put themselves in the type of spot we've seen them in so often. Up on surge, good when it comes to their loot, trying to get some heals back, and a late rotation into the safe zone when needed.
Yeah, that's got to be a good heads-up play by Sky. Not only to get his teammate back, but he able to get eliminations. But they're getting jumped on right now. 400 above. Troll trying to answer the call. Underneath, he's going ahead and taking a little bit of height advantage. Not trying to give up any advantages in a fight like this. They're the only two teams this far out of zone. You see the Fizz. They're going to use it to disengage, but Sky turns back. Gets one knock. Gets the elimination as well. That Siphon is going to keep him alive.
I mean, you said they got jumped on. They were the ones doing the jumping. Quickly regained control of that fight and now sitting in another dominant position.
That was all just about the recovery point. We knew
O,
that
Agryś.
some form of a comeback after
Już
starting
minęło.
off shaky. And now you get the reboot, you get eliminations to go with it. A pure refresh that's going to allow them to make this dead side rotation later into the zone.
Fizz with the shockwave, they realize, hey, we've already stayed a ton of time in the zone, rightfully so. Scry had to get Scroll back into the game, so even though they're above the damage threshold, they want to try to minimize the amount of storm damage they're taking so it doesn't become a factor later on.
No.
Big time here between himself and Badil. Everybody's been seeing it out of Badil, that's for sure. So many solo clutches.
I na zamku to mam najlepszą pozycję teraz. Nie wiem jaki jest zone.
Chino and Pablo. Last we saw them, they were chasing
Nie,
down.
już no mieli najlepszą pozycję, bo zone już im nie dopisuje.
Sky is down. He has to try to return the favor, and he's able to take down LB Works, but the pressure is not slowing down. Multiple teams and players firing off in this direction, but the blessing is here. Taco Scroll drops the slap pizza, and he's healing up inside of the zone.
I thought they'd have a chance to do a deeper west side wraparound, but it seems like they try to just cut straight to the center of that next zone. Too much congestion has now led to more problems.
And he'll stay alive, Taco, but at what cost? He's lost his teammate, he's lost most of his builds, and he's not working with much as far as the heals go. Scroll is going to have to bring out a solo masterclass if he has any chance of getting serious points on the board here.
Cold and Rapid underneath. 96 above the damage threshold. We saw how messy it was at 4 fields.
It's late game.
Rotate in from the eastern side, and great damage on the Yapko and Panzer. They're immediately answering that Storm Surge question.
Problem now, though, is will Yapko and Panzer be able to even answer back, or will they just get lobbied? It's not just Rapid and Cold, it is the entire teams, all of them located on the south side of the map. And Yapko Panzer, they are down and out for the count.
Cold.
Elimination there for Cold, and he's got to be feeling real nice.
Czy Colt zabił nie wiem kogo? Ale mam fraga.
Eliminated right in front of you, and yet you have to make that same rotate.
Fortunate enough that Cold and Rapid, they set their sights on that next zone. A long rotation they will have to make, but one that will be possible, especially if they can find the right timing.
No muszą ratować wszyscy powoli.
Guys, they don't worry about that though.
To, no, Wiko
To just take shots at whoever they
na
please.
tym.
Get to see the other side of the coin, though, for what was happening. Yapko Panzer
Wiko masz 2 fragi.
Cold and Rapid. I mean, the ending was practically inevitable. Great shots from Vico Malabuka, and I know that he claimed nerves, but he also said to all of us when we happen to bump into him, I play best when I'm nervous.
Uh-oh, as we tune in to the Kings Event A, Peter Pot is down, Pollo's alive, and I'm not sure he's in a position he could even work for the revive. This zone is just eating him alive. The longer and longer he stays back there, he has to shockwave out now. Top 27, no placements in this game have been getting, and he's barely above the damage threshold. Pollo spotted out by multiple players towards the backside of zone. He has the farthest journey to go. Can he make it?
Pollo is no stranger to making magic happen on this stage. But here in game 1, there is still so much top competition standing in between him and a good placement.
And Scroll is going to be one of those competitors, even representing as a solo. Reet, Cooper, will he be able to make it to their body loot? No, Hicks is going to shut that one down. Unfortunately for Scroll, we'll have to close off the wall, and we get to even see where Reason and O'Reilly are trying to find some of their success. Cringe getting dropped, not realizing that that layer was already occupied.
The Germans are getting comfortable already in game 1, and they're not going to stop. You see them moving towards the front side of things. They might even want to try and play hype this game if they really are feeling it. Regardless, Reason and Noah are here to play in this endgame.
Wow, Scroll in the feed gets another elimination on the Ozone. This is one great solo run from game one to start to kind of build that confidence. Tiggs at the top of the mountain, Saya, Scary's there as well. Poyo finds himself elevated but taking damage. Everybody's going to have a rough time traveling through this zone. Drew and Vidil, 84 below. They're feeling the pressure as well. Shockwave's coming out, but Storm Surge is active. They need 127 damage, and they need it now. They can only take about 3 or more ticks, and it's going to be Ju who makes the play, gets the shot, and gets him above.
They can also hope that just one more player goes down, because even at the just above threshold point, they still just don't have enough. These monumental moments where they need to show exactly how far they can take it. But Rapid, Cold, doing a great job controlling a little bit of a less occupied layer, and they're always looking to punish the backside of zone.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what approach do Rapid and Cold have to today's games. We saw a surprise hype play from them day one, game one, and now a surprise hype play from Poyo here as a solo, looking to just use this position to potentially find a refresh, someone whose box he can jump into and get a refresh. Reason has gone down, and Nova will quickly. The lobby is really starting to shake up here.
Poyo jest na high groundzie. Peter, bo chyba nie żyje już. No, Peter Boss dead, no. A Poyo na high groundzie. No już nie. Chyba już nie jest na high groundzie.
Duo as strong as ever. They've been hanging out on that secondary height for a while here, but from the front side position, TD and Shark have decided height is theirs for the taking.
Kto ma high grounda?
Now they've already overcome.
Uncontested has never felt so good for Shark and Teeny. We know what they can do if somebody lands at their drop spot. Let's see what they can unleash here. They already have the high ground. Teeny, 4 eliminations, and immediately putting pressure down onto Chino and Pablo. That second high team, Acorns being forced down. Everybody's being squished closer and closer together.
Demuś, Polak. Darmowy. Oni mają full low grounda. Darmowy Demuś ma full low grounda. Colt na mid groundzie chyba. Tak. Czy Colt dead? Nie, ale jego teammate nie żyje. No, cały team Colda nie żyje. Scroll z 3 fragami zabija. High groundu schodzą. 11 zon. Demuś. Ej, Demuś i Darmowy nie mogą denąć. Demuś i Darmowy mają low grounda. Full low grounda mają. Nice. Chino. Nie. No, Chino zabija Demusia. Nie, Darmowego znaczy. Ale Demuś nie przeżyje. No kurwa. Ja. Ale Demuś i Darmowe top 2. I tak zajebiście. A oni high grounda mieli. Oni mieli też high grounda. Idę się odlać.
It's amazing, it's easy.
It's amazing, it's easy. You got the timing exactly right as to when to take height. Was there a point you thought it maybe looked too messy?
No, it looked perfectly clean. The game was full on easy mode. We pulled every zone and just one game.
Did you get lucky though when the zone pulled down the mountain?
Yeah, we did. We got lucky with zones.
Do you need to get lucky again though in order to win more?
No.
Okay then. Shark, I'll just ask you one more thing. Is there anything you'd like to say to this crowd here in Dusseldorf?
We'll win this.
You'll win this. Okay, I think Dusseldorf heard you loud and clear. We're going to head to a break. When we come back, game 2.
Kolejna gierka za 2 minuty już? Dobra. Dobra, trzeba mi powiedzieć coś. Ale ten musi darmowy top 2. To i tak pik. Demuś. Darmowy. Trzysta sekund. Bo to nie jest timer do następnej gierki, nie? No, Rezona też lubię. To nie tak, że ja lubię Rezona przez Rejziego. A Reason to jest ktoś, nie? Kami! Game 2?
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS Summit. Day 1 of finals, game 1. And I feel like I'm watching a boop stream. Sharkatini come out and get a victory royale in game number 1. This is not a drill. This is really bad. Of course, it's really good for them, but man, what a way to kick off game number 1.
Saw Skyas and Scary going up on high. The Spanish fans are going crazy, but look who was lurking in the backside, Teeny and Shark. This was a really important game for them to get right, because not only were they uncontested, we hinted at it earlier, potentially that surprise contestation, but they also got that zone at the end of the game. Huge performance from them when it mattered most. And I was on Bootstream earlier. I said, watch out, game 1, Sharkatini. They're going to win it, and look what's happened. So, see if they can continue. I hope they can.
Gierka za 2 za 5 minut.
To play competitive Fortnite. I think we saw a dude that was kind of just chilling up on the higher ground. Sharkatini are seemingly like nowhere near in a position to go ahead and contest the higher ground. But the Miz comes in, the Overdrive comes in, and all of a sudden they got like 20 layers and they're contesting the higher ground. Just a super sick play for them. Happy to see the guys doing well.
So many duos, like so many duos, just had little things here, pop off performances. I want to let you on a secret, though. Of course, Sharkatini got themselves a Victory Royale, but they are not currently in first place. That's actually going over to Darm and Deemish. This is why we had to talk about them at the start of the show. Again, there's like, it's like, again, I don't want to use the word dark horse because that's not what this is. A tier 1.
Daj musi darmowy top 1.
Triple digits after game number 1 team.
Co? Ja to nie jest chyba ta tabela, nie?
Felt like something we hardly saw in the upper.
Chyba nie jest tabela.
And technically speaking, right, those lobbies should have been a little bit easier than the finals that we have here today. First game, the guys who were kind of calling themselves underdogs, the guys that kind of entered the scene just last year, are in first place. 11 eliminations, controlling, running the low ground. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I just spoke about it for Sharkatini. They needed to make the most of this game as well, but for slightly different reasons. Yes, we know they land towards that northwest side of the map, but in a different way they needed to make the most of this game. The reason why these guys needed to make the most of this game was that Sky and Scroll were just down to an individual Scroll. These guys are so good on the low ground, and typically on low ground, it's Sky and Scroll running the show. These guys have to play a couple of layers above, but because that low ground was free for them, they could then show what they could do. So for a different reason, they really needed to make that game count, and what a way to do it. These guys are going to be fantastic on low ground, and if Sky and Scroll also again continue to fail to make the end game as a duo, they'll be running the show.
I gotta see those standings one more time, man. So many different things. That was just game number 1. Teeny Shark, remember they got
Na to wygląda, że
right behind him. Chino, Pablo, Wingo, Chino.
pro Polacy.
To be by himself for just a moment, but you know, man, Viv, I'm looking at this, and you said a name, you mentioned a name, Anymatter. We were both going crazy.
Musi darmowy top 1?
To the start of this game, right? Gets lurked on by Zoe, suddenly has to reboot, and then Scroll goes on the run of his life, Viv.
What a roller coaster of emotions for all of the Sky and Scroll fans out there. Yeah, the reboot was absolutely clutch, right? We know Sky was kind of left to his demises as a solo, but potentially the most MVP move of the game was him going ahead and rebooting Scroll, because like you mentioned, Zeke, after he was left as a solo, it just didn't stop it. This is an incredible performance. I was kind of mentioning, after the reboot came in and these guys were a duo, I was like, man, if they do well this game after how bad the early game has gone, just go ahead and wrap it up, because it feels like these guys are just going to win the competition, because this by no means should have been a good game for them.
I think the way to sum up that is, you know the meme where it's like, it's so over, we're so back, it's so over, we're so back. That was like the way that game was going. Going down on spawn, it's over. Okay, it's right, we got the reboot. Oh no, one of them goes down, it's so over. Oh no, Scroll is solo clutching, down to 1 HP, down to 1 build. Oh no, it's so over. Oh no, he's found a refresh. It's like he just had the answers to every single problem throughout that game. And that's why this team are one of the favorites to win this competition, because although we know how fantastic they are as a duo, a common theme when it came to them winning FNCS in Major 1 for EU was their solo.
No przestań! Yes!
For that from both sides as well. Both of them are so good individually that you could put either of those guys in Scroll's shoes right there, and they would make the same plays happen.
What I love about that point, Minnie, is the fact that, like you say, on EU, now we've taken a step farther, the farthest step we can, international competition, and they are still showing us why they are favorites in EU. Viv, I gotta come to you really fast though. Cold and Rapid, schmoving in that last game. Game number 1, strong start, of course. Still needs some work to be done, but still, I love seeing them. I love seeing how confident Cold was as well.
I love the way this duo plays, right? Because a lot of the times, some of our favorites, they're high ground teams, they're low ground teams, but no, these guys know how to get into the mix and some of those mid-ground layers, and it's just on the back foot of being able to find so many eliminations, right? Obviously, this is going to be a low elimination game. I can almost guarantee you we're going to see them kind of have one of those pop-off games where Cold picks up like 7, Rapid picks up 7, but this was a good, solid first game. Remember, they land all the way on the east side of the map. They had to kind of travel all the way over to their west side, a little bit of a tough pull for them, but still great to kind of find them in the top 10.
Yeah, ultimately, you saw right there, they had no builds in that final situation. Both of them had to make those solo plays. It was someone I spoke to on the Telestrator yesterday with Vico about how important those solo plays are when you don't have builds. Running around in those end games, there's so much fizz miss, there's so many of those overdrive grenades flying about. It can just be a case of, can you find a refresh in the right moment? And for them in that game, they couldn't. But if they can, we can expect to see these guys in that top 5, I'm sure.
Guys, I want to continue to pick apart these standings. Let me have them again. I'd love to just continue to talk more and more about. It's crazy how much was packed up into that. Just game number 1. As we continue down the leaderboard, Shadow, Virgo, Epic, Whale, and Pump just above Cold and Rapid. Dude, we even saw in that last game.
Demuś i darmowy mają 11 eliminacji, 100 punktów mieli, no 11 killi, 100 punktów razem z topką, a top 2 miał 5 killi w pierwszej gierce, no i ma 85 punktów, więc no.
Scares me a little bit for any of the teams that are kind of be looking to play for that. I mean, at one point we had Pollo who was looking to hold it as a solo. I don't know how the heck he's doing that. Vico and Malabuka, they look kind of poised to take it at one point. We talked about Epic. And, you know, I feel like we kind of came into this weekend after watching Sky and Toro dominate from the low ground over on the regional FNCS. We were like, oh, I think that a lot of the focus for some of these teams is going to be on the low ground. It kind of feels like we're going back to that chaotic high ground meta that we know and love.
It could just be a game 1 thing though, right? A lot of those teams out there, we don't have like a defined high team. This is our team that we're going to see on high. A lot of those teams are probably thinking, why can't that be us? This could be something that we do, right? So that first game, they might be trying to stake their claim upon that high ground. Of course, we saw Shark and Tina. We have seen them doing that as well over on EU, so they're no strangers to that position. It's just a showcase of how many teams are capable of going for it and holding it, so it's going to be very interesting.
I love to see as well Fukun and Mini Pollo in 9th place representing Asia. We're sitting in the top 10. Let's keep bringing that heat right now. Also, Vico, Malabuka, a little bit of slower start, right? Currently in 12th place, but again, I don't want to get too crazy, right? That's just game number 1. Obviously, 8 games is the first time we kind of had like a format like this, but it's a little bit of slower start than maybe we're used to, Mini. Maybe we're used to seeing this. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for these guys. Again, you know, they probably would have liked to have made the most of this game, considering it was the Northern Pole. So it's like, yeah, they were looking pretty good. They had a good Storm Surge going into this end game. They were picking up a lot of those eliminations. They crucially couldn't pick up those refreshes. Look at those eliminations so far away. And ultimately, this is what we were talking about earlier and yesterday with Vico. No builds. You have to try and make these plays happen. And if it doesn't go in your favor, Vivid, that's when things can start to crumble.
Fortnite's so hard, man, because like we turned into these guys POV-wise. What was it like in 9 zone? It looked like they were like playing like second height. It looked like they were kind of poised to once again, you know, win that game. But you tune into them just a zone later, and they have run out of resources right there. Remember,
Vico top 13, Polo i Peterbot top 17.
Some of these smaller regional teams struggle to break into the top 15.
Co?
We're talking about top 10. Looking down here,
oni nawet top 10 nie są.
Alex and Reckless also kind of joining us in the mix.
Oni tacy dobrzy byli. Teraz takim gównem są. Przecież rok temu to Peterbot z Pojo wygrywał każde FNCS, każdego lana, każdego cash cupa, wszystko wygrywali. A teraz kurna w lanie są top 17 po pierwszej gierce. Nawet nie w top 10, to jest słabiutko.
Yeah, man, that's a strong start, even in 14th place, right? We saw a little bit of Scary as well as Sayaz. They were kind of starting to compete for the high ground. Didn't quite go their way, but again, that's just game number 1. Even got a little couple moments there with Akira and Karama. Dude, there's just so many names packed up into a single lobby. After game number 1, how are we feeling?
Feeling good. I mean, what kind of flies under the radar for this duo specifically, a lot of the times, double controller. Kind of rare in Fortnite nowadays, right? It's kind of been difficult, or at least, you know, not so common for controller players to kind of find themselves any success in Fortnite competitive, but we always see those breakthrough performances. Karama and Akira picking up a top 4 that game. Obviously, they're going to be feeling kind of good about that, and I feel good about it too. Remember, they're kind of expected to land all the way to the south side of the map with that zone pulling all the way to the north side. You got to imagine that we can see them do much better than that as well if the zone pulls a little bit easier for them. Also expected to be contested.
Oni na kontrolerze grają.
Whether or not they're actually going to be able to play all 8 of these games out.
Yeah, French favorites, these guys. I mean, a lot of the French fans, you can see them on the screen, you can hear them most certainly as well in the crowd. They are a team that a lot of French fans are having their eyes on, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue that. Like you mentioned, Vivid, they are looking to be
ja też
not
gram.
sure what happened in that off-spawn contest in game 1, but now they're up in the leaderboards. I'm sure we'll have a look at that. And it's good news as well for Shadow and Virgo, who I mentioned at the beginning of the show. If these guys of Akira Kurama don't do so well down there at the south, we have seen them landing to that South Frigid Fortress as well. So for Shadow and Virgo, opportunity on that stage as well.
And I love that rounding out the top 10. Acorn and Bolts, we interviewed him at the start of the show. Confidence like crazy to be in the top 10 after game number 1 is very impressive. Obviously, we still got 7 games to go. Don't get crazy, but there's still a lot of job or work to be done, rather, but I like seeing them in that top 10.
I would imagine Acorn right now is probably kicking himself because, again, we kind of talked about all of the teams that land up north. They should be loving a zone like that. We know Acorn land just north of Wonky Lane, so it should have been a pretty similar game to kind of like Shark and Team's performance right there for them because they didn't necessarily have to move far at all. So 10th place, again, probably kicking himself for that, but we know Acorn always got something ready.
Yeah, especially in Major 1 as well. We've sort of seen historically with Acorn winning Major 1. This Major 3rd place in Major 1 over in NAC, so maybe it's sort of like a little bit of an asterisk. Yeah, we won Major 1 Summit instead. Maybe they were saving it for the Summit, so really great start from those guys. I'm not too concerned if they do get some South zones as well. They have that massive launch pad that's at their drop spot as well, so I'm sure they would have been looking back at how they could use that in the VODs, but this is a team we expect to see in plenty of these episodes.
I love that. Can we just double back for a moment? This 8-game format, obviously being in a situation where the first time in possibly a while, possibly ever, we're seeing 8 games. So many players are used to like the 6 games, you know, and even with the 6 games, it's difficult, right? You drop a game, you're like, oh, that much harder to kind of climb up and reach those points. How do these 2, which just sounds so small, just 2 extra games impact the lobby?
I actually think it's going to be a time thing more than an actual like quantity of game thing, because there are tournaments that are about all the time. You know, when you're kind of like in an open stage, you are allotted to actually play like 10, 11, 12 games, whatever it may be for that specific tournament. So they know how to kind of play numerous amounts of games. However, those types of tournaments are usually restricted to like 3 hours. And if you think about 6 games over the course of the LAN environment as well, it's usually kind of about 3 hours. I think just the time, right? It's going to be a long time up there on the stage. I actually saw when we were kind of walking back out here to the stage, there were a lot of players already kind of taking quick little breaks as well. So after the first game, man, these guys aren't really feeling too comfortable. They've got to get their minds right.
Well, my mind is right, and it's ready for game number 2. So casters, take it away.
Thank you so much, Zeke. And honestly, if game 1 was any indication of a type of tournament we are going to see, we are in for a treat.
I can already picture the booth watch party getting absolutely ballistic. That guy's just going nonstop. Anywhere, international teams, because all he can think about is EU right now.
You should have seen my reaction when I saw that whole top 5 was EU. I mean, things are heating now that we have even more action on the way with game number 2.
Insane solo clutches, huge elimination games like Darman Demas just had. We've had a cinematic first game already, and I'm definitely in it for more. In that last game, we kind of saw Cold and Rapid, not necessarily contested, but a good portion of the lobby already rotated on over.
They made it evident, though. Their intentions are for hype, but we'll have to worry about that at a later moment, because right now, Chad Flixie, they're about to get the party started here at New Sanctuary.
Already Flixie getting the first drop spot ready, and he gets that first knock. Down goes Tinka. Now it's a 2v1 situation here. Chap and Flixie, instead of getting full aggressive, trying to find where that last elimination is, they're trying to work together. Get some materials, get some heals, because they know the solo is not too far behind as Resign goes down.
And for a team who have had plenty of slow starts to tournaments this year, this is a great first 2 games for them as far as the off-spawn situation goes. Quick wipe twice in a row.
It's going to leave a lot to wonder for game 3, but now Pump, Epic Whale trying to have similar success, and they find it 2 quick eliminations to kick things off. Now opens the door to see what they do next, because they're definitely going to be looking to try and apply some pressure over towards other parts of the map, thinking Wonkyland, but maybe even lurking elsewhere, pushing further north.
Yep, contested drop. That's how Epic Whale got the first elimination onto Hero. Sees focus across, and they now kind of use their numbers to go ahead and get that elimination. And Epic Whale Pump have been on a journey from Wonkyland to Riptides to now this split drop here.
And as we tune into Cooper and Reek, you will notice 2 eliminations between them. They took down the Asian duo. Rainy, Nalu landed on them, and we'll be regretting that as they will watch the rest of this game on that stage.
Gierka się zaczęła. Dobra, jestem już.
O'Reilly, not even the best loadout here, looking like they were trying to take the fight. A contested drop means
Nie dodaj.
surviving with 9 HP. He is blessed here with a second chance at life. You see, there's 2 teams directly nearby. We know 2 teams are north towards Latte, and with so many more towards the west. I'm not sure where Noah and Reason are going to get their loot from.
He can't afford to even take another tick of damage, and Danikush, Diggs, they were bound to see those white tags being applied, so more pressure definitely still to come as Kazi Demo.
Kabel nie dzieje chyba już.
They'll have a better story here over by Riptide. Cammy and Hottie jumping into the mix very early on. A little bit of a spoiler even. Their intentions were clearly to mess up Focus and Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see, of course. We've seen these guys fighting in this area all season long. We've seen Focus and Thomas make lurk plays.
Jeśli ci podchodzą. Na kamień Harry nie mogą dęgnąć. Na kamień Harry. Czy kamień Harry deadly? Oni deadly chyba.
That's exactly what Focus and Thomas needed to, but the message had already been sent. The rest of the lobby now, they have it read because Thomas is just finding so many crucial moments very early on. He's got that rhythm going strong.
That's one thing you kind of learn over time. Don't poke the bear, you'll awaken the beast. I think Thomas and Focus knows they need a decent game here to go ahead and place towards the top leaderboard. Poyo is down. Peterbot left by himself. 1v2. We've seen the exact opposite in the last game. Poyo was able to kind of clutch up decent placement. 28 points. Peterbot now with the pressure on. One of the greatest of all time. Has to prove why he still is one of the best. But he's getting pressure from all around. 2v1 situation. Dropped down to 65 HP. Even with a full chug and some splashes, he's still outnumbered.
And now we will learn which version of Peterbot are we going to see in this competition today.
He's already in 17th place after that first game. Not where anybody thought one of the uncontested teams in this game would end up landing. But no Sif and Izzy, they're going to let the dust settle. They're going to let Peterbot possibly get away as a solo.
But how do you give Peterbot this much grace? You have him isolated as a solo. You are strong with your duo, and yet they just don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze because they recognize Darm and Deemish already on the move.
And we always talk in EU about how there seems to be a lack of respect between people, but even here, Izzy and Nosif respecting Peterbot. They know what he can do when you give him enough time and space.
Now gone over to Battlewood. Kind of saw the ending portions of this fight in game 1. Venom and Curve were sent back to the lobby early. Akira and Karama, they used that as a confidence boost to propel themselves for the rest of the game. And I don't think Venom and Curve will get lurked on and make that same mistake too many times.
We heard it live from Venom himself just the other day, though. Most of what he intends to do in a finals lobby, he hasn't brought to light yet. Could this be another one of those methods? Only time will tell. But for right now, Curve, Venom, they've had so many of their plans kind of ruined just having to constantly engage with these teams south of the map.
Sky Scroll.
Team who doesn't need to do much as far as adaptation goes. They've been successful all season long, playing their game how they want to play it. And with Scrolls, 32 points, 52 point solo clutch, I should say. In that first game, it will give them the much needed boost and momentum they need to continue. Hopefully, as a duo, Jacob, but if needed, we know they can do it alone.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing is a lot of players will probably find themselves in a situation where things didn't necessarily go their way, and it's really about how you answer the call. Cold and Rapid. This time around, unlike last time, Taco, they get the zone pulled on over, which means they have more time to work with.
You would think so, but another duo that I wouldn't be surprised to see make their way on over towards this Four Fields direction, Chino and Pablo. How has that triple contest at Sandy Strip actually broken out? And that's why we see Cold in this Surge Tower, honestly on the lookout, because he's fully aware of the fact that the dust hasn't settled yet over by Sandy. He can see Chino Surge base in the distance.
And the great thing is they won't have to move.
La,
continues to pull to the east. They are prime position to continue and have another great endgame.
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of feeling the pressure of that game number one. Storm Surge really dictated how teams were able to play. If you're below that damage threshold, you almost had to be a magnet to a fridge. Push yourself against the first team that you saw. And so now, with one game already under their belt,
w tamtym roku z Squeezem i Nurse też wygrał też Lana.
Swizzy and Pixie, a duo who many will be hoping to hear plenty from today. Just a moment ago, it looked like they were trying to set up a little lurk play. But this is a team who understands how to play within the congestion. We've seen them do it all throughout the season. Look who's back fighting. A bit of a rematch between Focus, Thomas, Kurama, Akira potentially. Focus, Thomas, though, they'll be happy with how their game started, not desperate for damage in the same way Akira and Kurama might be.
Not in the slightest, but they're more than happy to still pay Kurama and Akira a visit just because of the fact that we saw Thomas not happy with the fact that their early rotates in game one, a little bit spoiled by the fact that they were challenged and held over at Riptide. So now Akira, Kurama, ball's in your court, but now they're knowing that